Boom.
Oh, Jarrod, that
You're stealing
upset me.
Peter's thing.
You can't steal my boom. Anyway, hello
I've
everyone.
already done it.
Welcome to the LC podcast, another Sunday morning podcast. I'm Peter. Today I got Jarrod, Evan, Grayden, and Jack with us today. How's it going, boys?
Hello.
Wow, you
Hello.
really saved me for last, huh?
Oh, you know. I want to surprise people to be like, "What? Jack's back?"
Oh my god. Jack's back. Yeah, for everyone who didn't see the stream on Friday, I'm back.
Audio
I'm
sounds
back
good.
from Australia. What a time. What a time I had. What a crazy fun time. And now I'm in quarantine. And
I was about to
I
say
can't
crazy
sleep.
is probably the right word.
yeah.
So
It's been
this
fun.
morning podcast probably helping you a little bit in terms of your sleep schedule.
Well, let me tell you what happened. This is the first ever podcast where I think I woke up earlier than Jarrod, because I woke up at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon and I haven't been to bed. So there you go.
God.
Well,
Jack, you need to. The way that you need to reset it, at least the way I did it when I came back from Australia, was I pulled a 24 hours so that I was tired. Like I pulled the full day, including Australia, so that I was reset to our time, and then I only let myself go to bed at 10 p.m. our time the day after.
I mean, the game plan was to go to bed sometime this afternoon, so yeah,
No.
that sounds about right.
No, go to bed at 10 p.m.
Hey, this just proves once again that Jared's Australia experience was just much better than Jack's Australia experience.
Oh my god.
Well, it wasn't a global pandemic that forced him to come home, thus sacrificing a lofty career goal of his, but so yeah, I guess that's technically correct.
That is
Anyways,
very,
hey, what's-
very, very
what's the-
shitty that happened.
What's happening in everyone else's world?
A whole lot of nothing.
Old
A lot of
schoolwork.
nothing. Wow,
Right.
And even that's running
Thrilled.
out.
I've
Black
really
Friday.
missed these brilliant interactions and everyone's thrilling lives that go on without me.
I
Well,
will
give us
say that-
give us a rundown of what happened over there for you in the
shit.
short time you had there.
Do you like barrels? I spent
Oh, yeah.
time with a lot of barrels. Crazy about
Kinda-
barrels.
Kind of barrels,
Big barrels.
kind of wood.
Well, Jared was correct. They are made of oak. Big old barrels.
Are they repurposed ones too? Like, where'd they come from? What did they have in them before?
No. So, with winemaking, barrels are not typically repurposed from, like previous uses. They're made in places called cooperages, which put them together, then sold to wineries. They're then classified as new oak, and then once they've had wine put through them once, they're considered old oak. Yeah, depending on if the barrel is new or not, then that's all there really is to it. Yeah, typically you don't see wineries like making wine with whiskey barrels. That's honestly kind of disgusting. I've seen wineries do it before, but why would you do that? Honestly, why do that to your product?
So, because you had to come home like a whole 2 months early, like, have you discussed with your work yet if there's going to be a chance to go back after this?
I mean, I'm gonna get lots more opportunities like this in the future. Yeah, the big problem is just finding the time to do it that doesn't interfere with a lot of stuff. You know, this was a pretty big gift, I guess, that I got from work to, get those 4 months off, sort of for work experience, and I was really grateful for that. So, yeah, it's just a matter of, am I ever going to get the chance to have that kind of time available to me? And since I didn't work the requisite amount of time needed, the visa gets a little bit more difficult to get the second time around.
That sucks.
But they probably will make an exception because of the circumstances. Because a lot of the
They-
stuff, especially
might.
with the pandemic, because a lot of things are doing that, especially even with our stuff. So a lot of our certifications run a course, and if you don't utilize or don't do the proper training for them, they'll increase the prices. But this year they're changing that because of that. So I'm sure you'll see a bit of an exception to that rule, because there are like they're saying get back to your country. Like if you're over there and there's a reason to come back, especially when CDCs makes the reason. A lot of the guidelines are shifted for that. They do make exceptions to that.
I think would be a very niche reason because I'm on a very specific work and travel visa with the Australian government, so them making an exception like that, I guess, is not outside the realm of possibility. I did consider it, but it's not something that's really on my radar right now. The time that I was there, I got some really good work experience, and I really only had my work cut short by maybe a few weeks since it was such a slow vintage. So really the only thing I missed out on was actually traveling and seeing Australia, which is what I wanted to do. So in the next couple of years, I'll probably do some traveling. Maybe not back to Australia, but I'd like to see some other wine regions in the world. So maybe next year, 2 years from now, once this all kind of blows over, there's a few places I'd like to visit for work purposes. So yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Flight to Japan is like $18 right now.
Jesus Christ. Well, I was supposed to go to Japan this summer, but I mean, that's not happening either. So
could you technically book it? And this is more of a question for Grayden. You might know the prices a bit better. Could you book a flight in advance that'd still be $18 right now? Like, say you were like, I want to go to Japan in a year and a half, and then book that flight now, it'd still be $18.
I don't think that's
booked a flight that far in advance. I don't think you can do that because the flight schedule change every. Right?
They probably have all prices that are all flights within the next couple months discounted, and then probably the further out from today you go, the higher the price gets because there's more of a chance that this thing's going to be done by then.
That's what I assumed.
I book all my vacations 3 years in advance.
Yeah. Starting now.
So you knew about Australia when you're like in high school still.
No, that would, I didn't even meet the person I was going down to visit, and I was already booked to go.
Did you see a fortune teller?
Yeah, I did. It was Pietro.
No, Jarrod just went to a bunch of bars in Calgary and he's like, hey, so I have this trip to Australia in 2 years and my plan was to stay at someone's house I know. Do you live there?
He just went up to them and started listening to their accents.
I walked through the U of C campus with a sign that said, hey, I want to go to Australia in 2 years. Does anyone live in Australia? That is the correct
Buff boy that will climb mountains. Please put me up for
young bull
for living. Young bull. We'll donate power.
We'll donate power.
Ross.
I will fight to power your house the time that I'm there.
We're gonna set him up to like one of those hamster wheels. It's gonna generate electricity. That's Jarrod
all the time.
I'll
pay you like 10 cents every hour.
Sounds about the same kind of quality of pay that TELUS would give me. So
the faster Jarrod goes on the hamster wheel, the better internet service you get. Actually,
yeah, Jarrod does Shaw's hamster wheel, and Peter does TELUS's hamster wheel, and that's why TELUS sucks.
Okay, I have shorter legs. This isn't fair. I should get a handicap or something.
You are a handicap.
I can't do that while I'm drinking coffee.
Anyway, anyone care about the new Marvel Warriors?
No, but I mean, you were talking about it before we went on the podcast, so
yeah,
I
was
guess
just
it's a topic
bringing it
for
up.
conversation.
What do you mean? This is the first I've ever heard.
Because there's,
So
they're just like I can't.
Is it a comic? Is it a what is it exactly?
Yeah, I guess it's a comic that they're making into a movie, but it's like so. on the
It's supposed to be a
nose,
comedy.
stereotypical and offensive. Out of like, there's psychic twins called Snowflake and Safe Space.
Oh
Snowflake.
no.
Safe Space is a big, burly, sort of stereotypical jock. He can create force fields, but he can only trigger them if he's protecting somebody else. Snowflake is a non-binary and goes by they/them, and has the power to generate individual crystallized snowflake shurikens.
Okay.
But like, why?
What?
Like, listen. So, like, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to be inclusive. Like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like,
No, I think they're just trying to make fun of because
think
it's a
they're
comedy.
leading.
It's a comedy.
This is
I'm
oh,
dangerous.
looking at
is
it
it a
right
comedy?
here. Yeah, it's an action fiction, adventure fiction, science fiction, superhero fiction comedy.
Oh, see, I thought
That's a lot of
because I knew.
It'd be
I knew-
really weird if one of those was nonfiction. Like they just had a documentary about this like somewhere alongside the superhero movie.
See, I thought I didn't know it was a comedy. Then they're really walking on thin ice there. I feel like this is not a good idea.
I think I don't know. All I see is I'm looking at the cast list, and one of these guys. If you guys ever watched the Disney Family Channel when we were in high school, there was this show on there called Austin and Ally. I think it was quite a terrible show, but there was this guy on it. His name was Alex. And he pretty much played like the dumbass friend, and the actor that played him is gonna be in this movie. So,
All right,
I just like.
there you go.
I can't believe that there's a non-binary character, which is good, progressive, but they named her Snowflake.
I can't believe Disney
Like,
pulled
huh.
the trigger
They
on
named
that.
they named them Snowflake. Great.
No,
yeah.
whatever,
Now
sorry.
that
My
now
apologies.
that now that I hear that again, yeah, that could be an issue. That might be
Well,
a big
like,
issue.
People are gonna get upset. It's gonna cause some it's gonna blow up on the internet a little bit. Then people are gonna forget in a week. That's what happens with this sort of thing.
The,
But
the-
Not
I feel
wrong,
like
but
Marvel
the amount of money
is
that goes into this?
but Marvel is intentionally doing it that way to be like a meta commentary, right?
Yeah.
To like kind of own it in a way.
Wait, maybe
So-
I'm looking at the wrong thing here. I don't see anything about Snowflake. I see Squirrel Girl.
Evan,
I see
I'll-
Squirrel Girl, Mr.
no,
Immortal,
Evan, that's
Night
something.
Thrash,
Oh.
Evan, Evan,
Speedball.
here. I'm sending it in the Discord to you. I linked to the thing for it.
I just googled Marvel Snowflake and I got it.
Well, I looked up Marvel New Warriors, and that's
Here.
this is
like
the show.
The
Evan,
new
go look in the
Warriors.
Discord.
Oh, the new Warriors. What the frick? Okay, so this one with the Alex guy. This is a TV show coming out soon, and it's a comedy.
Trailblazer Rupe scooped up in the world of teenager superhero.
The
Her
new
magic backpack
Warriors.
is actually a
Yeah.
pocket dimension with seemingly
We got
infinite
fucking
space.
Dora the Explorer
Screen
with a bag
time?
of holding running around him. It's her superpower.
Hermione.
Okay, so the superheroes are Screen Time, Snowflake, and Safe Space. Be negative. Trailblazer. Okay, so yeah, these are just supposed to be like Zooms.
Hang on. Are we going to glance over the fact that there's a superhero named Screen Time, and the first sentence of his description is a meme-obsessed super teen whose brain became connected to the internet after becoming exposed to his grandfather's experimental internet gas?
You know what? Jack, you know what that internet gas was? That was the grandpa got a hold of the Pharaoh's goo and he vaporized it.
Oh, did it?
Oh,
Legends say
the goo.
that Screen Time's grandfather was one of our students when you and I were adjunct professors of memology at or memetics at
So-
At
some prestigious university.
memeschool.com.
Yeah, exactly.
So to further go into the screen times description there, I like how they said I wanted to have a teen character. I wanted to have teen characters who felt as now as the New Warriors did in 1990. I'm so like, is that what people wanted in 1990? They're like, man, I really
Hey, well,
hope
let's-
some internet gas merges my brain to the internet
Well, no,
so I
'cause
can.
They're talking about the original New Warriors that came out in the
Yeah, no,
Oh, I
I'm
see.
looking at the description of the
1990
New Warriors now. But I want to see how relatable these characters were for the 1990s.
That's a good. Yeah, like what?
Okay,
who were
so
the
we
New
had
Warriors?
this guy called Night Thrasher. Meticulously researches a group of young heroes to help them wage a war on crime. Wait, that's the team. Sorry. Where's the actual characters though? I can't find them. Descriptions of the characters.
Just gonna search New Warriors characters.
I just found New Warriors Wikipedia page.
Firestar,
Mhm.
Justice, Night Thrasher, Nova.
The original New Warriors was
Speedball.
created by Tom.
Oh, it's a very long list. Oh, this is fair. This
Over
is, I
time,
don't
team
wanna
was
read
joined. Okay, so
Wikipedia page.
through 75 issues, team fought number including over time. The team was joined
I
by
can relate to the
Silhouette,
name
Rage,
Speedball. I'm pretty
Hindsight,
fast.
Lad, Bandit, Time Slip, Dagger, Darkhawk,
Hindsight?
Power Packs,
Hindsight,
Turbo, and
Lad.
Scarlet
Jesus.
Spider.
I want descriptions
shit,
of these
guys.
people though.
That one didn't
the second
go well.
volume, the second volume of New Warriors. The second volume of New Warriors was published. 11 issues. The team consisted of Namorita, Nova,
you're gonna say
Speedball,
pneumonia.
and Turbo, joined by a new member, Bolt and Aegis.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I think the New Warriors relate more to me than the New Warriors do.
Then they had their own reality TV show, and it,
Oh, did
it
they?
featured Night Thrasher, Nova, Speedball, Microbe, and Debris.
Speedball.
They faced supervillains in that's where they. I thought the supervillains' names were Stanford, Connecticut, and Nitro. I was like, what the fuck?
Okay, guys. Yeah, no, seriously. Like, B negative. I don't know how many people that are B negative in our world right now. For the New Warriors, here's his description: a teen living vampire exposed to Michael Morbius's blood as a child in a rogue but life-saving medical procedure. Blah blah blah. Anyways, he's obsessed with all music and attitude of a classic long past decades like 90s and the 2000s. The world is a vampire, and so am I. So this guy's a
that's
goth
just
kid.
That's the kid that goes on like YouTube videos and he's like, I was born in the wrong decade.
Yeah, this is, and then goes on TikTok and has like puts fangs into his mouth and then just kind of hisses at the camera for his TikTok.
And just a little bit below that, blah blah blah. Being like he's like a regular person, and he definitely drinks blood, or does he?
Jesus.
The more I learn about this, the less I want to read it.
It's not good.
This is us, guys. The new Warriors is
How
supposed
dare
to
you.
represent people probably that are like 17 to 20, maybe even 23.
So I guess I would be the who would I be, Evan?
All right.
space.
Well, we do have 5 people here, and there's 6 of them. Is there not? So let's rate this. Screen
There's
time.
5.
There's 5.
Oh, there's 5. Okay, so we're gonna put everyone to 1. Okay. I want to just vote right away that Grayden is B negative. The vampire kid.
I mean,
I want to hear your argument.
yeah.
Well, I just feel like Grayden is always going against the flow, and B negative seems like that kind of guy that just like he sees what society does and enjoys and says that's disgusting and I hate it, so I'm gonna do this instead. And that's Grayden in a nutshell right there.
See,
Okay,
I would have
that's
started
my-
this by like Snowflake and Safe Space are twins. So which out of us who would be most likely to be twins?
Ooh, Grayden and Jarrod.
Tough.
All right, Snowflake.
Cedar Safe Space.
Hey, yeah, you need to protect me, safe space.
I mean, that does work. I mean, based on the descriptions.
Okay, Safe Space is a big, burly, sort of stereotypical jock.
Great.
There you go, Jerry.
Great.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be seen as.
Snowflake is the person-
Stereotypical jock.
Snowflake is the person who has the most offensive power, and Safe Space is the person who has the most defensive power. So are they saying Snowflake is just an offensive person?
That's what it sounds like.
He's a glass cannon, yeah. You can dish it out, but man, you better be careful if he comes back in.
It kind of ties into like all the gay jokes people used to make about Grayden and Jarrod in high school. Like between like Snowflake and Safe Space, who do you think's the top? Who's the bottom?
I think
Sting.
Snowflake should be the bottom.
You know, Jack,
Yeah,
you're
probably.
definitely upsetting Snowflake and Safe Space right now because I'm now just reading that they're hyper aware of modern culture and optics, and they see their superheroes as post-ironic meditation on using violence to combat bullying. So,
That's exactly what I said when we started talking about this. So I'm glad we're all on the same
Safe
same
space.
page.
well, you know, that's how you create the safe space. You start and end the conversation with the same line so that the whole conversation takes place within the safe confines of that sentence.
All right, so I think that's decided. I'm pretty sure screen time is Evan.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Listen, don't fuck with my memes.
I guess the memes. I was gonna say Peter just because all this guy can do is basically Google stuff, and that's what Peter does for us constantly.
That is. I thought you were saying all I can do is Google.
Peter, and I think Peter has the most experience with experimental internet gas as well.
Experimental.
All right, so we think screen time is Peter then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Peter as well.
All right.
All right.
All right, Jack,
That's
are you-
sweet gas?
Are you feeling more emo today, or are you feeling like a regular kid scooped up in the world of superhero heroing?
Well,
I'm gonna say I'm
do-
trailblazer. Running around all happy and wild with this big backpack with a pocket dimension.
and to be fair,
I feel like Evan would be the one that he'd have all his friends are superheroes. Like, I want to be involved.
I got a backpack.
and I was absolutely like the teenager who's like, I was born in the wrong generation. Nobody likes my music taste. So yeah, I'll be the vampire.
Hey, I'm Trailblazer. Okay, we're ready to save the world now.
Our comic comes out on April 15th. Everyone, please buy it.
Okay, everyone needs to take a fucking actually no, never mind.
A mental health day for going through this.
Yeah.
I've had too
Anyway,
I bet you the
many
first.
days.
I bet you the first issue is about the coronavirus pandemic. I guarantee. Just seems like they could tackle.
Do you
This
think
seems like the
that
team
Screen
that can
Time's
solve
gonna be
it.
able to look up toilet paper and actually find some?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you can
man,
just pull it out
find
of the pocket dimension backpack.
Oh,
What
yeah.
toilet papers you want?
How to get
I'll
rich
just be
quick.
going to the. I'll go to the hospitals and hand out masks and sanitizer and everything, and that's how I'll do my due diligence.
I feel like Peter's screen time, eventually there's going to be a side comic of how he turned to the dark side and starts to try to
dark
use
web.
his powers for evil.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. The day screen time cracked.
He's the one on Amazon trying to sell hand sanitizer for excessive amounts of money.
You can't get too much screen time. You know what that does to your head.
The thing is, if these writers actually are trying to like be like have like some sort of commentary on like culture these days, like Screen Time would be the person that would fall to the dark side. He'd like go on 4chan and just slowly deteriorate into insanity.
Oh, easily.
Oh, yeah. Screen time becomes an incel. Like starts falling in with QAnon conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Well, I know my
Oh.
future now.
I hate to see it.
We'll miss you desperately.
Let me know how Pizzagate's going, Peter.
Because weren't they? Because I don't know if I heard this correctly, but weren't they? They were going to. Marvel was going to introduce a transgender
I think
superhero.
that happened.
I think they said in one of the upcoming movies there's going to be like a transgender character or transgender superhero.
Okay, because again, I guess like they're that's why I thought that this that's what I thought this was. I thought they were trying to, and then you said it was a comedy, and I was like, well, there's no way that's
No,
gonna
I
try
don't
to
know
be
if this is a
inclusive.
comedy. I think Evan was talking about like the old New Warriors.
No, I was talking about they apparently they came out with like a pilot episode for a new season based off of the original New Warriors, and that's
Oh.
coming to TV soon.
I'm
So
interested to
that's-
see what the reception is.
In regard to
I
the
don't-
trans character, the Kevin Feige, the Mr. King Marvel, he said
Feige,
they're-
bro.
Feige. I don't know. I watched the movie. Feige. They're shooting a movie right now with a superhero in it.
Okay.
But is it like the star is a transgender superhero, or
Like
is it
he
like
tells,
is it going to be like? It's going to be like every other studio is like, yeah, we have a transgender representation, or we have a gay representation in our movie, and then it's going to be like Onward, where it's like the police officer's like, hey, I made you cookies, here you go, and then that's it.
It's
at
gonna be
us.
like Endgame, where Captain America is in that Alcoholics Anonymous meeting with the one guy is like, I just can't believe my husband turned into dust because
That's
of
it.
Barney the dinosaur and his power glove.
The worst
Yeah,
timeline.
they always put out these things where they're like, yeah, we're gonna become more inclusive, and you're right. They literally put them as like side or background scenes.
I mean,
And
it's
they're
not, they didn't lie.
no, it's true. It's true. They didn't lie, but it's still. It's like I feel like if they truly wanted to make that jump to like be kind of stand out in that inclusiveness, then they would actually put them as more of a lead role.
I mean, lead role or like supporting role or something.
Yeah, someone who has more screen time than one scene in an Alcohol Anonymous meeting.
We'll get there one day.
Yeah, agreed. But still, I just it's too bad they don't do it. They're not able to just go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is too bad. I mean, it is nice to see that they're trying, but I guess it's kind of shitty when you're like for the communities seeing that, getting excited, and then just kind of being quiet and just being like, come on, like, where's the representation?
It's a tease.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of hard to write in, especially to like
Yeah.
the Avengers, where
Well, I
everyone's
mean-
already established.
Well, yeah, when you're using established characters, I guess that
Yeah.
makes sense. But you have a lot of space. Like with this new Warriors thing, they could have used it as a opportunity to make like some cool, nuanced characters who are young and represent the LGBTQ community. But instead, they're like, here's screen time and AIDS vampire.
Well, one of them is supposed to be non-binary, right? So that's Snowflake. Okay.
I'm pretty sure Grayden's the furthest thing from non-binary.
Grayden, can you comment?
Extra binary.
How dare you? I'm 101101110.
Oh, fuck off.
Wow.
Okay.
No comment.
So we were talking about Netflix a little bit earlier, and I saw they're planning to bring on an animated series of a franchise that just won't die, apparently. Because
no.
everyone
Final
wants-
Fantasy?
No, everyone wants an Angry Birds animated series.
Thank God.
I just blows my
Finally.
mind. In 2020, Angry Birds is still a relevant thing.
When
I,
did I'm googling it right now? When did Angry
I
Birds?
on my way back,
And I was playing Angry Birds on
from
iPod Touch in middle
Toronto,
school.
We the one person sitting
Thank
next to me
God.
was watching the Angry Birds movie, and it looked fucking ridiculous, but also kind of funny at the same time.
I think
not
they're
good.
I've never
received
seen
as
it.
like decent movies. They're not good. They're not bad.
No, they're not good.
How can an Angry Birds movie be good? What's the? You're throwing birds at pigs. What's the plot?
They're not throwing. There's a plot. He's angry and he's trying not to be angry.
He goes to anger management.
Because he's an
I'll
angry
be the next
bird.
star then.
Don't you get it? He's an angry bird. He's going to anger
know.
management.
There was that Rooster Teeth short they released like 10 years ago that was a live action Angry Birds movie. that they teased. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
The director of this series says the birds will be angrier and birdier than ever.
Fucking right.
Jeez.
It's probably because he can't say anything about it because like of some like document from Netflix and some interview.
He's absolutely under NDA.
Yeah, so for the interview is like, so what can we expect from the new Angry Birds movie show? And he's like, well, I can tell you that they're gonna be angrier and birdier. That's about it.
Well, now here's the thing. Do you think that like the tone of which he delivered that was like a super like it's gonna be angrier and birdier, and he's just like super disappointed to be there and working on this project? Or do you think that someone put enough money in front of him where he's like, yeah, it's birdier, fuck yeah?
That's what I think.
Maybe it's like a Steve Jobs kind of thing. Like, we've been working behind the scenes for months, and I can guarantee you right now that the new Angry Birds show is going to be angrier and birdier than you've ever seen the Angry Birds before.
What does
Like they wrote
birdier
it
mean?
into his contract.
What do I expect from birdier?
You are legally required to tell the public it's going to be angrier and birdier.
And Angry Birds came out in 2009, the original app.
Jeez.
But let me just Google this. Top IPs by revenue. Let's look that up.
Okay, I found some information about the show. It's going to be called Angry Birds Summer Madness. It'll take place in the tween days of 3 red birds as they spend their adolescence at a summer camp. 40 episodes. Are you fucked?
40 episodes?
Whoa.
40 episodes.
Netflix ordered 40 episodes?
Yeah.
They must have high hopes for this.
My God.
How much money did the movie bring in?
I don't know. I'm gonna look it up.
Because depending on that could be why they decided to do
Apparently
such an
the
absurd.
Angry Birds movie 2 is very popular on Netflix.
That's probably why. The 2 movies probably did well when they were on Netflix, and then they were like, okay, well, let's get a show then.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Netflix is like, just hand your kid an iPad and then they'll go buck wild on Netflix, right? So kids probably love watching like the Angry Birds movie. It probably gets watched en masse every day. So 40 episodes of the Angry Birds Summer Dream or whatever, Angry and Birdier. I mean, that's a no-brainer for Netflix.
Let me just say this here, boys. I Googled it, and a list of the highest grossing media franchises. Wikipedia came to me. So there's a category for at least at least 10 billion in revenue. That's a list in itself, but Angry Birds isn't in there. So that has it looks like 30 different IPs in it, including Cars, surprisingly enough. The Cars franchise. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh's in there, One Piece, Toy Story, things like that. Now, franchises with at least $4 billion. Angry Bird comes in at number 6 on that list with an estimated $8.93 billion in revenue, US dollars.
Like throughout
since
its lifetime?
2009.
Okay.
Yeah, since 2009. Merchandise sales is over 8.2 billion of that. Box office is 500 billion. Video games is 100 billion, and DVD and Blu-rays is 27 million. So they've made their entire fortune off of merchandise.
That's insane.
Why are we should switch directions with Live Connection.
We should.
I mean, it seems like that's like kind of the norm across the board. Like Pokemon, which is the number one for revenue, 95 billion since its inception. 64 billion of that, which is the biggest chunk, was licensed merchandise. Same thing with Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty's made $85 billion off of merchandise. Winnie the Pooh is third with $76 billion in merchandise. Star Wars, $42 billion. Mickey Mouse and Friends has made $73 billion of revenue in merchandise.
Disney? What does that exactly entail?
I think that's just the Mickey Mouse and Friends. So I think anything to do Mickey Mouse, Goofy, any of that, I think that's all considered that IP.
I googled Mickey Mouse and Friends, and the first Google result is Mickey Mouse and Friends secret characters.
Jesus.
I can't wait to buy merch for them.
I already have merch for them.
Yeah, guys, we need to pump up our merch sales. Clearly, content is not where the money's at.
Let's just sell Angry Birds merch.
We'll take a small cut.
They can afford to give us some of those billions of dollars, right?
Give us
Give
We're
us
just
like
gonna
thousands, not even
No.
billions.
Even
We're
if
just
they
gonna
gave
make
us
the
like a
next
percentage
Angry
of
Birds.
theirs, we'll produce it.
we're gonna make
We'll
our
make
own
it angrier and birdier than they could ever make it.
Okay, no, because we'll get taken to court. We're gonna make Happy Fish.
Happy
Fish.
Can we make sad birds or sad toucans or some shit?
Sad toucan.
Sad toucans. Sam the toucan from fucking Fruit Loops is gonna be our star of the show.
Oh, wow.
So speaking
We're
of
going
more Netflix things, it was announced they're making a Dragon Slayer movie.
Oh, that's interesting. Do you think
That could be
that
cool.
Netflix will try out the whole because they did that with Black Mirror, they did like a choose your own adventure on Netflix itself.
They've done a couple
with
of those.
Yeah, with Black Mirror Balderdash or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
So you think they would do that for this Dragon Layers movie? Because isn't
That'd be
that
cool.
like
That'd
how
be
the
a great-
gameplay is anyways?
That's exactly how the gameplay is. So like, you
All
know,
right,
I
I
said,
saw that.
does the movie appeal to you anymore if I told you that Ryan Reynolds is starring in it?
Ooh.
Ah, god
I like
damn
Ryan
it.
I mean,
I don't know
No,
if he's in
really.
that role. I don't know if in that role I'm particularly excited for it, but
Ryan Reynolds is quickly becoming like Adam Sandler, I feel like. He's like or Jim Carrey, you know, he's just in so much stuff that like everyone loves him, and then eventually he's just gonna make one too many bad movies in a row, and everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is kind of shit."
well, the shitty thing is,
see,
and then that's all he's gonna get associated with. Like it's the same
Yeah.
thing with, like your examples there, Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey. Is like there are some really good movies with them in it, and then but no one associates them with those movies. They only associate them with the bad movies.
Did you guys see
we've
Ryan
had this
Reynolds,
conversation before. The Rock is in so many bad movies, and people love The Rock.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's true. I love The
Every-
Rock.
Everyone
Oh,
loves The
Nicolas
Rock.
Cage,
Cage,
yeah.
yeah.
Best
The
movie of all
Rock
time.
just has this charisma, though. It's just like you just can't help but
Charisma?
look at him.
And
all
Ryan
the time.
Reynolds doesn't?
He's just that eyebrow, though. The eyebrow. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's always
Fuck
up
me.
in every movie. Do you guys see Ryan Reynolds address the people about coronavirus? It's a short,
No.
like 1 minute video.
No.
He's basically just saying, "It's okay, people. Turn to your celebrities, because after all, it's us who's gonna get through this, or help you get through this, or something just totally stupid." No,
I hope it's
nowhere.
memey.
Like,
No, it probably is. Knowing Ryan Reynolds,
hope
any fucking commercial he makes is a meme commercial.
I don't know.
He's
Like,
probably
all
making a
this- all
comment
these-
related to the fact that everyone's in quarantine and watching movies and playing video games. That they're like, we're the only reason that you'll get through this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've just been kind of sick of like all the celebrities just being like, "Oh, I'm so sad." And it's like,
in
bruh.
their
What
multi-million
the hell?
dollar mansions.
I
You
will.
could
I
s-
will say that I'm really happy with some of the people. Like, there's a soccer player over in Spain, who his entire he has a hotel chain, and he opened his entire hotel chain to the hospitals, and he's paying every worker that's inside the hospital, inside his hotels, that's a medical person, to help with to open up space for the hospitals to treat other issues as well.
See, that's good. That's what.
Like,
What a nice
to
guy.
me, that's effective. Like, that's
Yeah.
actually doing something, not just being like, oh, we're sad about this.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
saw.
it.
I saw one thing on Twitter. It was like that Sam Smith video of him like upset inside his $15 million mansion, and then I saw a reply being like, "Dude, Anne Frank spent 2 years in a cupboard."
Yeah.
Shit.
like,
Ooh.
Throwing it back to Ryan Reynolds, because he's a part owner of Mint Mobile. It's like a U.S. phone carrier, and they're giving everyone free unlimited data because of coronavirus.
That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
there's definitely a lot of good things coming out with this.
Well,
But it kinda-
I was making this comment the other day. I was like, it's really sad, and I mean, it's just how it is, unfortunately, but it's really sad that it takes a world pandemic to get people to somewhat communicate appropriately between like countries and stuff like that. Like it's still not great. There's issues still happening, obviously, but it's probably the most teamwork between the countries of the world that we've seen in a long time.
Gives me hope for when the alien
It's the
invasion
only-
happens.
Yeah.
When
When we're at the brink of destruction from the alien invasion, everyone will be like, you know what? We forgive you.
I mean,
I'll just
depends
be
if
like-
Trump
on
is still
Twitter.
president or not.
From our houses.
I'll just be like on my roof of the place I live. I'll just be like, hey, do you guys got peaches on your island? That'll be my message to the aliens.
Oh my
I
god.
can't wait to log on to twitter.com the day the aliens invade and just have somebody in my timeline being like, can we not call the aliens invaders? That's super problematic colonialist language. It's like, oh, my apologies. Our alien repatriators here to save us from big bad daddy capitalism.
Dude, I'd watch that anime.
I've seen a lot of stuff like that. Like one girl I saw one thing. It's like a girl she lost a bunch of weight and she was like, this first photo embarrasses me, but 2 years down, I've worked hard and I'm down 120 pounds. I'm very proud of myself. And someone like replies just like, I'm happy for you, but just the language you're using about how you're embarrassed about being fat. I mean, that's the main problem. Like, I feel like people who lose weight are the biggest fat phobias out there. And I was just like, what?
No, because this is the thing. This is like what I hate about that. Because we actually had a good conversation about this in my one critical aspects of the body course, and they were talking about like the whole fat shaming thing. And it's like I'm one of those people that's like, you should be happy with who you are and what you want to be. Like whatever your ideal is, that's where you should be. I hate when people do that. Like you have extremists on both sides of the table that attack the
absolutely.
other side, and it's so annoying about that because it's like that's not what they were probably saying. Like everyone is happy with where they want to be, not necessarily where they were. So it's like if you're happy with being a little bit overweight, that's fine. Good for you. Enjoy your body. Be positive. But if you wanted to change it, then there should be equal praise for that as well. Not take that as a negative connotation that they are saying that everyone who's overweight is a fucking idiot, right? Like that's just taking it way out of context.
I see the whole body positivity movement as less of about a whole positivity thing and more about what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, just not negative, not positive, just like right in the middle. Like you shouldn't ever be.
It's like
You shouldn't ever be put down for your body, but like really, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like needing to praise someone because of what they are, like I feel like that's almost as bad as the whole.
No, to me, you should praise yourself, and you just shouldn't hate on other people. Like it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I like that.
There's no. You need to go around and be like, good for you. But it's like, just don't hate on people. If they don't make comments about someone in that situation, just be like, if they post that they're proud of it, be like, oh, awesome. If you have to comment, if you feel the deep down desire to make a comment, then just say something like, oh, good for you, or awesome, or whatever. Like, you don't have to. Why that was necessary to bring that up is just ridiculous.
You would never go on someone's photo of them being happy about graduating law school and be like, I'm really happy for you, but this is really hard for those of us who struggle to finish art school.
Or struggle to get an education or like get into school.
Yeah.
I agree with Jarrod completely. Like, just be happy for your own accomplishments. Be happy with the person you want to be. Work towards being that person if you have to, and also be happy for the people around you. That's
like
that's all you
just
can
don't
really
be
do.
an asshole.
It's like why
Plain and
why
simple.
not just be kind? It's just be kind, and then a lot of this stuff wouldn't really happen, which is unfortunate that it's so simple of a solution but so complex to actually get
Thing
there.
is that the internet is all hate.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't say that.
Okay,
fuck
80%
you.
hate.
80% hate's a good. Yeah, the 20% of love is pretty fun to be a part of. Actually, well, like the 15%, and then the 5% memes is where I thrive. That's where my domain is.
That's Evan's ecosystem. He's like a lizard
you guys talk
bathing on
about
a sunny rock.
Didn't you guys talk about at one point the hate culture on the internet, where it's like people will hate just because other people are hating on it, or it almost.
I love jumping on
Yeah, go for it.
bandwagons.
The internet's just an echo chamber for, people confirming their own shitty beliefs a lot of the time, or their own biases, or things to that nature.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to just sit on your phone or sit behind a computer screen and be like, yes, this makes sense to me. I hate this thing that other people hate. I agree with this thing other people agree with. So yeah, it's a very intoxicating environment for a lot of people who feel like they're part of a bigger narrative in a lot of ways. That's a big kind of driver behind cancel culture, which has been something we've seen a lot in the past year, for
Real
good
tired
and
of
bad.
it.
But yeah,
Well,
I wanted to briefly jump back to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go for it, Jack. Because I'm going to take us on a tangent in a direction. I was going to quickly mention.
I was going to go back
related
to talking about Netflix actually, because I just wanted to point out how crazy it is that Netflix knocks it out of the park with these really awesome shows based on original IPs and licensed IPs and cool movies, and they're just doing really awesome stuff. But then they just have the weirdest shit that absolutely nobody asked for. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing I've noticed about Netflix recently, because they really have been knocking it out of the park lately. I don't know if you guys.
I think they go by the basis of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I think that's exactly how they do it.
How much did Netflix make last year? They have the money to you want to do something, go for it. You want to do something, just do it.
Well, you can see it. You can see it, especially in their production values have been increasing for a lot of their newer shows.
Yeah, they're definitely dominating.
Some of their original ones were not great. Back when they were closer to first starting. But now it's and it was always oh, they just didn't have necessarily the budget to have the better CGIs or better whatever. But now it's they do. It doesn't happen all the time. There's still some really shitty, like Jack was saying, some really shitty fucking shows that are released. But
yeah,
for the most part, a lot of their new stuff comes out and it's actually really good quality
That's
too.
what happens when you make $20 billion in 1 year.
They're even ahead of the curve on so much more than just content, though. Just right down to their UI. It's by, hands down, the best UI of any of the streaming platforms out there. Right down to how you can play exactly back to where you were from the last time you watched. The timer that they introduced to skip to the next show just to keep you addicted on it. Even this new thing that they just recently added in the last month, the whole top 10 in Canada right now. I've already watched 4 different things I wouldn't have watched other than the fact that it was on the top 10. Watching the movie Contagion because it was number 2, and it's oh yeah, it's the quarantine, haha, let's watch Contagion. And then this new show me and Courtney are watching, The Tiger King, out of nowhere. It's I think it's number 1 in Canada right now,
or at least
and it's just this.
Yeah, it's just all over Twitter today.
Yeah, it's just blown up, and it's actually, I do recommend it because it's actually insane. You would not think that this is a real person or this space
weird, out of left
It is
field.
weird. It is weird because they started off super normal, and then every episode they'll introduce all these new angles and new information that comes to light, and then you're just what the fuck? You start out being oh, this guy's funny, this guy's a cool dude, and then by the end, everyone in the show, you're just these people are insane. I would never want to associate with these people ever. No, it's pretty. But yeah, Netflix is killing it. Yeah.
No, they do a good job. There was a bunch of conversation about how are they going to survive with big industries like Disney releasing their Disney Plus and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's they're going to be just fine. Like they've gone a lot towards those originals, those Netflix originals, and because of their quality, that is probably one of the biggest reasons why they're going to be okay.
Well, Matt Pat had a video about that not too long ago about the streaming wars, and I thought he brought up some pretty good arguments of how like Netflix is going to be okay for a bit, but he still thinks eventually Netflix is going to die and be beat out by like the giants of Disney and Apple, because because Netflix's only thing is Netflix. It's the streaming platform, where Disney and Apple are just ginormous corporations that not only have IPs behind them.
I want to tap in here that Apple is only actually 6% of the tech industry. They're actually not as big as people think. They're just very popular among individuals, like non-business oriented. And just to tap in, but I see what you're saying. Like you're talking about like people with multiple access to different areas,
revenue
taking on an industry that is just one thing.
Yeah, they make a lot of money, and Apple maybe have a small section of the tech industry, but they are one of the top 30 companies in the U.S. So,
yep.
That's why he argues that they just have, and especially Disney with having as much entertainment content as they do now with all these acquisitions that Bob Iger made during his time as CEO. Like they're a powerhouse of content, and they're just getting started. And so Matt Pat's argument is like you're gonna see like the small streaming services like what is out there right now, like Crave and shit like that.
HBO.
They're gonna fall. They're gonna eventually just get absorbed by these bigger companies, and then eventually we're just gonna have exactly the same thing as we did with cable, where it's like you're gonna be buying packages of streaming services. So you want Disney's package? You get Hulu, you get ESPN, you get HBO, you get Netflix. Like there you go. That's your Disney package, and you pay $100 a month.
I see where you're coming from. Crave is owned by Shaw now, I believe.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Because it's on their Shaw free range TV. So it's a lot of these smaller streamers are already owned by other groups.
Yeah, and they're all getting eaten up. But eventually,
they're like together.
Partnered with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and eventually
like
they're going to be sold as packages.
With Shaw for the longest time, because you could watch things like Game of Thrones on Shaw free range.
That's how I watched it.
That.
Yeah, that's how I watched it through Crave, which you get Crave with Shaw.
So it's like
there is no HBO
so a lot of these ones are already
HBO Go.
Isn't HBO trying to do their own streaming service? I thought I saw it out there.
HBO Go is a thing in US, but in Canada it's part of Crave.
Okay, so it's the same thing, just they've merged it with Crave here.
But yeah, you have you have your CTV Gem stuff and your CBC Gem and your all these every TV network has a streaming service. Like every TV network is eventually going to have its own streaming service. So now all this content is going to be divided, and then these big companies like Apple, like Disney, maybe even Amazon, because they have other revenue sources, and the streaming part of their companies is so small in their revenue sources, they can just pump money into it like nothing and just win. And Netflix doesn't have that ability. So Netflix is only going to be able to get by continuing to produce good quality content and keep its subscribers high. But if Apple and Disney and all these other big ones start depleting the subscribers from Netflix, they're going to crash and burn really fast.
I think it also has to I think eventually maybe they will get burnt out, but I think they've made enough of a base for themselves because they're one of the original
They are the original.
original. They are the original streaming service. So it's like they've made their money in it, and I think that'll keep them afloat just on reputation alone. And as long as they can keep that going, they're either going to be targeted to be bought, which is huge in their favor, because why wouldn't you sell if you're bought for enough money? Why wouldn't you sell? And I'd say if any companies are going to buy them, it would either be Disney or Amazon. Maybe Microsoft might do it, but
Netflix's advantage.
I think they're way too big for I don't think Apple would be able to compete dollar for dollar to companies like Disney and Microsoft to buy it.
Yeah, well, it depends on how much money they're actually making and how much money they can invest into purchasing these big companies. Like
Yeah.
Disney's pretty good at merging with like buying out massive brands.
Honestly,
so-
I'd say they're probably the ones. If anyone's gonna buy Netflix, I could see Disney doing it.
See, the problem with Netflix is that even though they make a lot of money and they're producing all this good content, they have to pay for that good content, right? So like
Yes.
looking at this income statement from Netflix right now, their total revenue in 2019 was $20 million, but the cost of that revenue was $12 million. So they only made $7 million in revenue.
Are you,
7.7.
I wish I could say that all I've made is $7 million.
No, but still, for like a company where you look at Disney, I guarantee you Disney's making way more than that in revenue. Because like
True, but
Netflix
sometimes
doesn't
it's nice-
technically make direct income off of its series. It only makes money off of its subscribers, right? And then I'm sure they're starting to branch off, and like as you see with all those IPs we talked about before, where a lot of the income comes from merchandise. I'm sure Netflix is now pumping out merchandise to make more revenue streams for itself. But for a company that when they produce a show, they're not directly making money off of it. They're it's indirect revenue based off of the show. So they might.
The thing with Netflix though is like sometimes it's nice to have a company who specializes in one thing. You have a lot of companies that'll branch into something and don't end up being as successful in that industry just because they're focused in so many different areas.
Like
yes, they
Apple.
could have more money in the world, like Apple, who a good example actually would be Bell, sorry. Bell was associated a lot with phones and computers, and when they tried to branch out to other areas, they didn't do very well. That's why Apple did so well when they entered the market, is because they targeted personalized computers instead of business, and they basically blew up because they specialized in that area. So it's like, I don't know, you can talk about other industries being big enough to buy them, and maybe they would, but the fact that Netflix is so specialized in just streaming, that's all they do is streaming and make content that way, you'd be surprised how powerful that can be for a group of people watching that. Like, yeah, you can have Disney Plus come out, you can have Crave TV come out, you can have a lot of these other streamers come out, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be producing the same quality of content. Disney aside, because Disney's just a fucking animal, and they could probably dip their toe into everything and somehow make it the most successful thing in the world. Just
Did you hear
pure
that,
reputation. But with Netflix, it's I don't know. I think you'd be surprised. A specialized streaming service that focuses solely on what their whole statement, their whole goal was, can be super powerful in comparison to a very diluted company like that. It has its toes dipped into so many different things because people will associate a company with a thing, and if they don't associate it with streaming, it doesn't matter if they're a big name. They won't blow up in it.
Well, I guess my argument that I'm trying to, I guess, at the end making here is that it's not the fact that like I don't think because Netflix doesn't have multiple revenue sources that it's going to be easily bought out. I just think because its only revenue source is from streaming, it won't be able to survive if it starts making flop after flop in case that happens. Where, for example, like look at Nintendo. I think I read something a few years ago where someone said Nintendo could go like 5 years or something, 5 to 10 years without making any money at all and still be perfectly fine and while still spending the same amount that they do. So like big companies that have multiple revenue sources are always going to be able to pump money into their streaming services even when they're not making money at all for them because it's not a big deal. But if that starts happening to Netflix, they're screwed.
True.
That's essentially what I'm just trying to say.
If a specialized company starts flopping in their specific area that they specialize in, they're going to flop.
There's no life.
But it doesn't. But at the same time, it also gives them. My only argument is it gives them a better chance of making quality content. Whereas a lot of the companies, like I'll use like Crave has as a streaming service, not the shows necessarily on Crave, but the streaming service itself. Crave is so fucking like. It doesn't flow. Like you said, Netflix has so many things that make them flow, like the timer to next shows, or how easy it is just to continue watching what you were watching.
That is a great point that Evan made. Netflix has the great user interface of any streaming service I've used, and it's good on every platform. The Xbox app works perfectly. The app on my phone works perfectly. The one on my desktop works perfectly. So why can't any other streaming service get their user interface right? It seems like it'd be pretty easy.
Disney came
Disney's
out of the gate with
okay.
like a decent user interface. It's almost identical to Netflix's.
I'm not really a big fan of Disney's, honestly.
I'm also. I don't find it as easy to get around Disney's as it is to deal with Netflix. Netflix just flows.
Disney's is very similar to Amazon's, where it's like it kind of gives you an overview of what's going on, but it's a bit of a task to find anything that you're actually looking for. Whereas Netflix, anything you want, you can just find it.
I mean, Amazon is absolute garbage because if you want to watch a show, each individual season is like its own category that you have to find. It's not just they're not grouped together. That's how shitty Amazon is.
Yeah, I just find I think it's gonna be quite some time before Netflix is overrun. Like I could see a company.
Oh yeah, it'll be.
I could see an investor group because it depends. You got to also take in that consideration. Yes, the company's on its own, but if it has a strong investment group, they can keep it afloat as well. Like just because of backing of money. Like if you have an investment group that's like, you know what, we're gonna buy Amazon, but we're gonna leave we're gonna buy Netflix, and we're gonna leave Netflix exactly the way it is. Whoever's in charge, you are still in charge. We are just adding a little bit of extra funding here to make sure that you guys have a little bit extra. They don't necessarily need to.
Investors don't invest into companies. They don't invest into companies to help keep them alive. They invest into companies because they believe that the company is going to give them back money.
No, I know, Evan. I'm saying that gives them the ability to stay alive if they flop a few things in a row.
But if they flop a few things in a row, no one's going to invest in them. But
if you already have an investment group that's already put money in,
which Netflix already does. Netflix already has a pretty strong capital investment backing them, as far as I know.
Yeah, so it's like you have that ability to flop a few things. Everyone does.
They do.
So it's like I don't. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's going to be as quick for these bigger streaming companies unless they decide to outright buy, and the owners of Netflix as well as the investment groups behind them, seeing that that they're getting the biggest bang for their buck for it. I don't think Netflix is necessarily going to get overrun anytime soon.
Well, did you guys hear that the new Black Widow movie might be going straight to Disney Plus just in the mid? If they start putting AAA titles straight to streaming service without going to theater, which I doubt they'll do, but I can see Netflix losing a lot of subscriptions to Disney.
Netflix has the power to do that. That's the thing. They can easily do that and be like, it's no big deal for us. What's a couple $100 million of lost revenue?
Disney?
Fuck it. Yeah, it's that. Sorry, I meant Disney. Yeah.
I know Onward, which came out not that long ago. It's coming to Disney Plus in the first
in
April. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
fast.
That is 100% because of the quarantine. Because these companies see that they're not going to make any money on the movie being in theaters right now. They're going to lose money, so it makes more sense to just put it on their platforms and hope to get revenue from there. No.
Onward came out months ago.
No, Onward came out like 3 weeks ago.
February 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, a month ago.
Months.
4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's the in between. We don't have knowledge in the in between territory. We have months and a couple weeks ago.
Still, a month ago was before things really took off, and see, it's already going to Disney Plus. So it's pretty quick turnaround.
No,
theaters have been closed for 2 weeks already.
But I want to just correct it a little bit there, Grayden. The things in Canada 4 weeks ago weren't as serious, but in China and other Asian areas it was. So they could have been.
Yeah, okay, that's one small market.
No, China's a very large market.
You're right.
That is not a
China's a large market. You're right.
About it.
Yeah.
So
that's a small part of the world for a global release of a movie.
Companies will prepare for the fact that CDC announced that it could become pandemic.
Dude,
so
theaters
they
in
would
Canada
prepare for it.
Theaters in Canada have been closed since March 16th. So that was only 2 weeks after Onward came out. and movie stays in theaters for at least, I think, 2-3 months. So like they're losing way too much money by keeping it into theaters. So it makes sense to move it onto a platform, have people that don't have the platform be like, oh, sick, I want to go get that. So I'll just buy the streaming platform.
I don't actually think that's correct. I don't think the studios would actually lose very much money because the theaters pay the studios to license the movies into the theaters. So it's the theaters that are losing money
It's the
right
theaters
now.
that are probably trying to save money by not spending on the
And then the studios are losing revenue from not getting the licensing fees from the theaters. The theaters make all of their money on concession. That's why popcorn and drinks cost, a small loan of $1 million to buy.
Give a child.
Well,
each
then
time I go.
I would guess I'd say these studios are losing opportunity revenue then. Like, so they're not, there's opportunity revenue that they could be getting, but they're not getting that. So they essentially are losing money on the movie. Still.
I'm not sure what you mean by opportunity revenue.
Opportunity cost? Is that what you're talking about?
There's an opportunity cost associated with not putting the movie into theaters. So like,
Correct.
for Endgame, if they made $1 billion off of it, if they didn't put it into theaters, then they did not make that billion. That's the opportunity cost.
So
but during a pandemic, the theaters aren't going to license films that nobody's going to go see because they're not legally allowed to.
Yeah, so they have to. So it's a systemic risk to all corporations within the movie industry. So they have to figure out. No one can do it, but they can figure out new ways to get that money, anyways. That's by putting it on their streaming services.
Yeah, they basically try to build another area of their industry that they couldn't build with that one right now.
If Disney Plus had not been released when it was back in, October, if it was set to release in let's say August of 2020, I guarantee you they would have released it early because of the pandemic. Just to get that money back.
That's an Evan guarantee.
I guarantee
That is an Evan guarantee. See,
Let's
but
take
if
our
we've learned
time
anything,
machine
if
and
we've
go
learned
check out
anything
the
from
timeline.
Bethesda, you shouldn't release things until they're finished.
That's true. That is very true. I think my closing argument on this is whatever streaming platform decides to put the new Warriors in a show is gonna die.
Insta death.
So Disney. Bye, Disney. It was good knowing you for just under a year.
Yeah.
If you guys want to avoid insta death, then subscribe to Live Connection. We'll keep you alive.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have the power.
Trying times.
That's an Evan guarantee.
Evan guarantee.
Shit,
Actually,
there's
no.
so many Evan guarantees going around.
I haven't taken my Hippocratic oath. I cannot legally guarantee I'll do my best to keep anyone on the face of the earth alive.
That's okay. It's an Evan guarantee. He
Evan
guarantees for
guarantee.
all of us.
Oh, good.
It's
I'll
like if you have a
guarantee.
membership and then the company has insurance for you, then that's like the Evan guarantee for us. We have a membership to the Evan guarantee, and the Evan guarantee provides insurance for us.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
Evan-
sell. I have all these insurance policies, and I'm actually selling them as blocks to investor groups. And don't worry, they're rated they're rated AA investments. Don't worry, they're super good investments.
Oh man, the double A.
God. Canadian oil.
Or triple B, I think, is the top investment. I don't know. I don't remember.
Buy low, sell high, boys.
Are
Yeah.
these investments angrier and birdier?
They are.
Oh, my
shit.
God.
Speaking of buy low, sell high, it's turnip day. I should log on to Animal Crossing and buy my turnips.
Wait a minute. What's Turnip Day?
All right.
It's the I'll explain this later.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to find out what Turn Up Day is, like the
Right.
video.
Look online.
Look online. Thank you, Jared.
Look online.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Stay safe and
Bye.
healthy.
Bye.